Yeah, I hand over to Olivier for introducing our 3 second speakers. So Olivier.
Yeah, thank you, Marco. Thank you, Aristotelis. And thanks for your questions. I'm glad to introduce 3 speakers exactly from NGI Search Project, starting with 2 exceptional women. Aurora González Vidal got her PhD in computer science at the University of Murcia, where she's now a postdoc researcher involved in several national and EU R&D projects. Her research covers machine learning in IoT-based environments, missing values imputation, and time series segmentations. Aurora is also the president of the R Language Users Association at the University of Murcia. So welcome, Aurora. Nina Doklestić is project lead at FundingBox, where she's specialized in championing entrepreneurs and innovators seeking funding and acceleration opportunities. With experience in both marketing and project management, our focus are topics on projects around the next generation internet initiative. So welcome to you also, Nina. And Mirko Presser is also an exceptional person. We are proud to have him as NGI Search Project Coordinator. Associate Professor at Aarhus University in Denmark, is the head of the Engineering and Technology Research section. Mirko is teaching, leading research in 3 domains: digital technologies, technological business development, innovation, and sustainability. So welcome to you, Mirko, Nina, and Aurora. It's a real pleasure to give you the floor now to present NGI Search progress.
Thank you, Olivier, for the exceptional introduction. I don't think we have been honored that much, at least I haven't been. Thank you for also introducing Nina and Aurora. They'll come on a little bit later in the presentation. I'll start off, and then Aurora will take over presenting some of the topics that we're working with in the project that I'll talk about, and Nina will round us off at the very end. So, and thank you for the invitation as well. I'm also delighted to be able to present NGI Search to you. NGI Search is also one of those EU projects that hangs around and is actually part of a much larger family of projects. And this is, I think, where we'll start. We'll start with this NGI family, or if you go to ngi.eu, you can find a bunch of projects that have been previously funded, are still running, and there'll be still a few projects coming in the future. You can find a lot of material on the various people that have been receiving money in the NGI project, as well as all of their open source components and software that have been cataloged also on the website. And I think there've just been also a bunch of open calls been made that's just been unfortunately closed that use some of those components also in future projects. And previously, I've also had the pleasure to working with some of you also on the call with some of the people that have just been speaking, like Luke and David, as well as Toshan, in a project called NGI Pointer, where there have been, and now I can't find where your logo is here.
Oh, we haven't done one yet.
Oh, there wasn't one on there. Okay, yeah. So, but we've previously worked with Luke and David, as well as Toshan, and then also now in the future with Konstantinos, another colleague, on some of the projects under this NGI Search project that I'll get to in a minute. So the project is a constellation out of 4 partners. So Aarhus University, which I can also happily see that the Spade Horizon project also has a partner. So a good Danish representation as well with SDU on the call today. And FundingBox, Linknovate, as well as Murcia University, and of course OC2.2 with Olivier, who's been speaking earlier on. The project is a little bit weird because we don't do much work inside the project at all. We have about 20% of the funding to suggest some stuff, help some people, and sort of steer the ship in some way or another. Because 80% of our funding goes to these third-party projects. So that's 6.8 million euros over 5 open calls, where we offer something between 50 to 150,000 euros per open call project. And we've just had the first open call evaluated, and I'll show you some results, the type of projects that we're funding, so that maybe you get also very interested in participating. And you can participate on many levels. You can, for instance, participate as a third-party project and offering some sort of open source software development under the topic of search, discovery, and indexing. But you could also, for instance, suggest topics that we should be funding. So generating part of the policy program and the direction that the project needs to take in just contacting us and making these suggestions. But the project operates across 5 open calls where we're trying to find interesting, talented researchers, innovators, and activists working on the topic very broadly, search and discovery. We'll discuss some more specific topics a little bit later. Aurora will do that. And in this human-centric context. So the NGI, which is Next Generation Internet, is very focused on privacy and trust as central thematics for developing open source software, in particular now on this topic, which is search, discovery, and indexing, where we often have organizations building large data lakes or data that is hidden from plain sight, but maybe the APIs are open source or opened up and can be used in many ways, but the building of those large language models or multi-language models are behind closed doors and creating sort of an imbalance in possibilities. So we are hoping that we can run something like 50 in total interesting projects over a 12-month program, staggered over those 5 open calls, and offering them some sort of added value services like business development, open source license support. But we also have, of course, OW2 on board that offer various services that, such as, for instance, beta testing, as well as sort of open source maturity level assessment, I think. I've probably gotten the name wrong here, but something like that. And then also integrate them into this wider NGI community, which has already funded over 500 or actually 800 different types of open source projects that you can link into. And then create also national, regional, international synergies with, for instance, the Eclipse Foundation as an example, but also other types of organizations and events. So this is actually the list of the 10 first projects that we're funding. So we're just in the process of getting them signed off, and the SPP64 Power ISO vector optimization for search. We actually have Luke, David, and Toshan on board here that represent this project, and Luke is very happy, fist pumping. Good. So just very briefly going through the types of projects that we have listed here. Search and Literatures is, for instance, an open source search platform for open food facts are standing here, but it's any kind of sort of inventories of these types of data that can then be put onto the platform, and the platform can be used for those purposes to create the searchable environment for these kinds of data. Tunnel Later is an interesting project that in a distributed fashion connects different pools of resources, in this case job-based, so job pools as well as possible workers on those jobs. Build Search works in the domain of the built environment, looking at the resources and how to create information about that. The HeFanMe project is focused on looking at health-related fake news data. The Lab Discovery project tries to connect the resources on different lab equipment resources that are at, for instance, university departments with potential users and offering that. Madada is a activist project that focuses on how citizens engage with authorities and collecting data and making requests for certain information that comes from the public authorities, making sense out of it and sharing it across the community. The IT Twinning project looks at digital product passport for a circular management of ICT devices. So in particular, decommissioning of laptops or phones and how they could be, for instance, brought into circulation again. Trust Search, a specific way of how a mechanism could use critical thinking and offering search results. Already mentioned the SPP64 project. And then the final project is a combination of two projects actually. One is on my disk, which is a decentralized delivery network, let's say, and pairs technology, which is a search engine, and combining those into one sort of service offering that can be used. All of the projects are under strict open source licenses with good documentation. Those are the requirements that we have. And source project. But and I hope that you'll get to see a lot more about those projects soon. So if you want to, you can go to the website, and I'll copy that in while I hand over now to Aurora, who will tell me when I need to click the next slide, please, to talk about the topics for the next open call, which has a deadline on the 1st of June. So if you're interested to apply and are working with some of the technologies here, you are more than welcome to join us in NGI Search. And Aurora,
yeah,
can I have you?
Yeah, can you hear me? Yes. Okay, so thank you. You can see here a list of topics or challenges. So in this call, the topics are a bit more fundamental than the previous one. We have like a stronger research focus. We will go one by one in a second, but first, let me highlight that that we will have a transversal interest on green technologies. Green technologies are motivated by the fact that the storage of data and the training of large models use massive amounts of energy, as we know. So techniques that are created nowadays need to address this problem also by reducing data requirements and the complexity of the models. So in that sense, all the following topics can also have a perspective towards the reduction of energy consumption. And yeah, and even though this is not mentioned in each topic in particular, this can be addressed. Next slide, please. So the first topic is power cognitive search by reinforcement learning. Cognitive search is a kind of search technology that uses artificial intelligence to understand and interpret human language in order to provide more accurate, relevant results, search results. It aims to mimic the way humans search for information. So using the context and using and interpreting that context to provide more meaningful and personalized results. So we are looking forward to the development of mechanisms that include but not are restricted to self-learning, to pattern recognition, and NLP that can contribute to a system that learns from the interactions, how to choose the data, the algorithms, so that we have more relevant searches. And for example, a search engine could use reinforcement learning to optimize the ranking algorithm based on the feedback and the user behavior, so that we provide more relevant and more accuracy on the search results. Next slide, please. The next topic is machine-based data. So while the Internet of Things technologies and deployments are continuing to grow, an extensive amount of data is generated and gathered from sensors, actuators, from any connected device, really. So in that sense, locating and accessing the data is becoming difficult because of the volume and because of the velocities. Most of the current systems are relying on metadata descriptions for search and discovery. And therefore have a limited means when we talk about searching for patterns and for structures within the IoT data streams. So we want to encourage the creation of search and discovery mechanisms that are based on algorithms that can take into account and can adapt to the characteristics of the IoT sources, basically that they are located in space. So they have geospatial characteristics, meaning longitude and the distance between them. Also, they are basically collected on the form of events and the form of time series. So algorithms that adapt to these characteristics are encouraged. Thank you. Next, please. Yes. The next topic is AI-based taxonomies. Taxonomies are machine interpretable semantics, and they can provide knowledge for many applications that we are interested about, such as product recommendations or enhancing query understanding. So given that web content is growing so fast, the taxonomies that we are using nowadays cannot capture the emerging knowledge and cannot satisfy specific user interests. So our aim is to promote the investigation of on how artificial intelligence can be used to create and expand these taxonomies in an automatic manner, while also modeling the interdependence among new concepts, among the fresh concepts are created. Next one. Next slide. Thank you. The next topic is network analysis. The analysis of complex networks can be connected to semantic modeling in a way that the result of this procedure of the creation and the analysis of these complex networks is an interconnected network of distributed resources that can be queried and that can be accessed through queries. These networks are commonly referred to as knowledge graphs, and they can offer valuable insights and conclusions about the domain that they are representing. So formal semantics for property graphs, including similarity-based query relaxation, shape induction, expressive graph neural networks, this can be part of this challenge. And also the study of general properties such as scalability and dynamicity of the graphs, that's also of interest. Next one, please. The next topic is about AI-based search tools and content generators. So AI-based search and content generating tools that are assisting us in performing different tasks, such as the creation of text or code with ChatGPT, with GitHub Copilot. They are gaining popularity. The use of these tools raise concerns about progress, about critical analysis, and about bias, because they are reproducing the existent bias that we have in the real world. So it's clear that people is getting comfortable with this kind of tools. Also AI-based writing tools and art generators are other examples. What we are looking for are critical projects that work on the evaluation of privacy. They define research gaps concerning the accuracy of answers and the performance of these tools, including the analysis of the vulnerability and the qualitative improvement of results. Next one, please. The next topic is about ethics in search and discovery. So it's clear that the advancements on search and discovery, coupled with the progress in AI, present promising opportunities, but it's important to consider the ethical and social implications. So in order to keep fundamental rights like privacy and freedom of choice, the ethical frameworks need to be developed in order to ensure that algorithms do not pose threats to these values. So we look for solutions that are aligned with the European Commission report named Ethics Guidelines for Trustworthy AI. And this provides a clear way to evaluate responsible development of AI systems but we want it to be applied to the discovery and search tools. So tools to deal with misinformation, to provide literacy on data, on any kind of technical tools, and also to address opacity are encouraged. Also, debiasing mechanisms, including data augmentation, promoting minority tagging, and bias fine-tuning are examples of that leads up to the to a responsible and explainable AI. So we're looking for this kind of mechanisms in this topic. And next one, please. And finally, we have a general topic named Enabling New Ways of Discovering and Accessing Information. So this is a topic that welcomes almost anything that is related to search and discovery, to the ways to deal with volume variability of data sources. Something innovative with regards to that, so that we don't leave it out, and anything really can be of our interest, anything that provides value. And don't forget this code, anything fundamental, but that can be applied to search and discovery is welcome. So that's it from my side. I hope these topics
Thank you.
I hope they, you can resonate with some of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Aurora. And just to clarify a little bit, Nina will also now come in and talk about the basic rules of the second open call and some submission guidelines. I've already copied some text in there, but you're most welcome to apply. But please remember, this is a call for specifically smaller projects, of course, but also for otherwise applicants that don't necessarily can get funding from the larger European calls or from the bank, maybe necessarily, but maybe those that are doing open source developments already for a while and need a break to focus on their projects. Those are the particular ones that we are very, very interested in. So Nina, can I hand you over the slide set and you just
Sure.
tell me when to click?
Can you hear me well?
Yes, very well.
All right, perfect. So thank you for this, and hi everyone, good afternoon. I will let you know a bit more about the application process itself and what is therein for you in this open call. So first things first, most of our successful applicants have carefully read the guide for applicants and the frequently asked questions that you can find on the OpenCall site. So we strongly encourage all our applicants to do the same, to get to closer to a successful application. Regarding the OpenCall benefits, so joining, as already said, joining the NGI Search Support Program with the duration of up to 12 months. Then receiving funding of up to 50,000 if the applicant is a natural person applying on their behalf, or up to 150,000 if the applicant applies as an organization. And there's also an option to receive the technical business and innovation mentoring provided by the project partners that Mirko already explained. Regarding the eligibility criteria, we are basically calling everyone, so individuals or organizations looking to change the way users search and discover on the internet within the European values and within the NGI values of openness, transparency, and privacy and trust in mind. So both natural persons and organizations are welcome. We also accept consortia of combination of those two. So combination of natural person and organization, or consortia of only natural person and only organization. The limit is still 3 members per team. The maximum funding, this is important on the budget. So the maximum funding per project of 150,000 cannot be exceeded. So no matter the size and the composition of the projects, if the applicants apply more than one consortium, the upper funding limit is always 150 for the organization, and the 50,000 is per natural person. That also remains. So whether they apply independently or within a consortia or across the several consortia, for natural person is always 1,500 50,000, sorry. So we have 4 stages of evaluation process. You can read this in detail and on the microsite, the OpenCall microsite. So we have eligibility check, then MQC, minimum quality criteria, external evaluation, consensus meeting, and finally, if and when you get selected, you get to sign the subgrant agreement. And by signing the agreement, the beneficiary selected declares that it meets all the conditions above mentioned for participation in the program, and that he understands everything that was defined in the guide for applicants and stated in the application form. And you can check the SGA grant. The SGA agreement is the template is on the website also, if you want to see how it looks and what is listed over there. Yeah, next please. Regarding the application form, we prepared also the instructions. I won't go into detail, not to lose too much time, but we prepared a very nice document. It's called instructions that you can also find on the OpenCall site, and you will see all the steps over there and process listed. But basically everything, the whole application process is online. You can export it as a PDF before you submit it finally and before the deadline. Then you can add the contributor to your application. When you hit the apply button, you can add a contributor, so you can get the help from your team members, and you can fill it out all together. Please mind the deadline, because try not to submit it like 5 minutes before the deadline, because life can happen. So submit it before. You need to fill all the fields that are there. Also important thing, only the first proposal which has been submitted will be evaluated. So make sure you delete all those that you accidentally started later or someone started at your project behalf. And you can always edit the fields until the deadline. So you can even submit it and edit the fields again and again. Only before the deadline, of course. And if you need any help or any questions arise, we have a dedicated email address, which is ngi.search@fundingbox.com. And we have an official OpenCall help desk that I linked in the chat, where come back to you very fast. The project partners, we're checking the help desk very regularly, so we will answer all your questions over there right away. And I think that would be it. If you have any question, let us know.
Thank you, Nina. And thank you, Aurora. I think we'll hand back to Olivier and Marco.
Maybe we should ask our participants if they have questions regarding NGI search or the agenda. So we are now in the OC2, OpenCall 2. The deadline is June 1st, correct? And I think the third one will be this summer, August and September.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we're a little bit over time, Marco and Olivier. So I think we took just 5 minutes too many.
Okay. I'm sure the people were glad to have all those details. Marco, would you like to address the final word?
Yes, let me bring up the final slide. All right. Well, that's it for today. Thank you, everybody. Thanks to our speakers. Thanks for joining and your interest in these presentations. We will be back in the fall with the next episode. We will keep you posted. Have a look at the website or drop us an email. Register for the newsletter so we can inform you about the next date. Yeah, and with that, well, have a nice day, have a nice evening, and hopefully see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.